Thanks for coming back for the second session. Welcome those that didn't come this morning. I'm Giles, Tofield, I work for the Cultural Engine, and we've been interested in food culture and what you can do about it, which I know is a controversial issue in itself, for quite some time. Talking to lots of different people about it and trying to initiate some things, which I'll probably talk about later on. I hope you've all had a healthy lunch. That's important, obviously. Very important meal of the day. And it's also good to see so many influences here. People are actually sort of doing things on the ground, you know, those commissioning, and those actually doing stuff, so that's good. We want a lot of that. I'm just going to provide a very brief introduction to why we've chosen this subject, and then we'll get on with the speakers who I'll introduce in a minute. But I really want to encourage debate and challenge, because it is a big subject, it's a huge issue, and it's something that's been spoken about a lot recently, given the government's recent intervention into health, if you like. And we want to stir up some issues and perhaps come up with some good ideas for Southend. And I emphasise Southend, you know. Not everything will be about Southend, we've got to talk about Brighton, obviously, relevant to Southend. But we want to try and do some things on the ground, or identify some things that we could do that will actually make a difference to people. So, food cultures. So I'm just going to read out the blurb that we gave out to you. Who's really setting the agenda in terms of policies on health and well-being in respect of what food we buy and consume? What can be done at a local level to improve food cultures in the context of national policies which endorse a free market vision of society? So there's a statement, you know, we're saying something that they endorse it. Maybe you don't agree, maybe that's controversial in itself, we can come to that. I've had a lot of conversation about this over time. I've done some thinking and done some research. We've kicked off something called the Food Culture Project because we're interested, and we work with the council and other people on that. We've tried to start some projects on the ground. You know, that's not easy. My colleague Claire over there is our food culture coordinator, and she works with local groups and communities to try and get food cooking initiatives off the ground. Actually doing something, you know, bottom up, as Duncan was saying this morning. Because activity on the ground is also what it's all about. It's also a very relevant issue nationally and internationally. It's about time we talked about it openly, it's about time we talked about it in Southend, I think. You know. And of course, it's important to remember this isn't an exclusive subject. We talked about creative industries and art being kind of exclusive and out of touch this morning. Everybody is involved in food one way or another, everybody needs it. We've used the word agenda. You know, is there an agenda? Can our food culture really be influenced by people? Is there actually an agenda out there? And if so, whose agenda is it? What else is going on? Is there a problem with a free market vision, or does this help with creating a level playing field for our food choice? Is there interference from, you know, from corporate interests? Is that such a big issue? Do people agree with that? And of course, food does affect our health. So we should probably look at the issue through the government's attitude to the issue of obesity. But just before we have a look at that, obviously food culture, we're saying culture rather than public health, because if you just see it through a public health prism, are you actually seeing it in its full context? Food is much more, it's about culture, society, family, community, economics obviously, which is a key driver. But if you just look at it through public health, maybe you're not looking at it in the full rounded way that we need to. Maybe it puts people off if you do that. So, this is from the government's recently published Childhood and Obesity plan. I say plan, not strategy. They make a difference between two things. There are some clues in the language that are interesting to note, and which we may want to return to later in the debate. So, just read it out again. We aim to significantly reduce England's rate of childhood obesity within the next 10 years. We are confident that our approach will reduce childhood obesity while respecting consumer choice, economic realities, and ultimately our need to eat. Although we are clear in our goals and firm in the action we will take, the launch of this plan represents the start of a conversation rather than the final word. So just unpack some of that quickly. Economic realities, what does this mean? What's that relevant to a childhood obesity strategy? Corporate interest, is looking after corporate interest and economic interest such a bad thing after all? After all, it's a big part of our economy, it's important to jobs. Or perhaps they're referring to affordability and the fact that you can't really do very much because people will eat things that they can afford to eat. I don't know. Respecting consumer choice. Is this a hint that the government sees anything other than individual responsibility as going too far? You know, individual responsibility is a very clear narrative. This is what public health is all about. You make your choices. Are they suggesting that we don't want to head into the dreaded nanny state and meddling hand of government interference in our lives? And nanny state is a term that I'm interested in because it squashes so much debate potentially and it's so influential as a term. And does heavy marketing of unhealthy products really influence consumer choice? You know, or is it really about respecting consumer choice? Does it really make such a difference? And ultimately, I need to eat. Are all the calories the same? You know, in the end, all we need to do is eat. What do they mean by that? I'm not entirely sure what that means and what it's. Is it a get-out clause or is it something more substantial than that? And of course, it's the start of a conversation. They're saying, well, let's have a conversation today. But many commentators are saying, well, why are you starting a conversation now? We've known about this for over 30 years. You know, why start a conversation? Why not have an attempt at a final word and then refine it? So at a local level, I mean, is the key thing about club critical theory. So I'm just going to read out some of these questions, and I want to come back to maybe later on after you've heard the speakers. So what can be done at a local level, i.e. in Southend or elsewhere, if people want to talk about that, to improve food cultures, assuming that they need improving? Does it have to be public health-led initiatives, or should activities, programmes and strategies be more broadly embedded, i.e. economics, culture, social? Do we need a Southend food plan? Do we know what that means? Should Southend become a member of the Sustainable Food Cities Network, which I think Vic will touch upon, because Brighton is certainly a driving force in that? Does the lead have to come from national government, or can areas like Southend do something different? And there are good things happening now in Southend, obviously, you know, Trust Links do a lot of stuff. There are other projects on the ground. I think we've got 2 or 3 community fridges now, I think the other day, one at the YMCA, one at Trust Links, I think, where people go and help themselves to food. There's all sorts of stuff going on, but it doesn't necessarily always feel very connected or very sort of recognised as a plan. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? And in the end, a lot of people say, well, you can't do anything. Tony Blair once said, I think, yeah, I can do a lot of things, but I can't make people thinner. So, is that actually right? So, that's how complicated it is. We won't go into that, but that's what people face sometimes when they think about obesity, food, health. This is a government report from 2007, government agency Foresight, who do sort of future thinking stuff. This is the systems map with thematic clusters, which is just unbelievable. So, and of course you could use it to try and really understand stuff, or you could use it to say it's too complicated, you can't do anything. There's social clusters, there's individual physical activity clusters, there's physiology, there's food production, there's food consumption, there's social psychology, individual psychology. In the middle, there's the individual, or there's the government, and what do you do about it all anyway? And what can you grab hold of at a local level to do something about that anyway? That's hard. So maybe we shouldn't think about the complexity too much. So, we've got 2 speakers following this, and after that, after I've spoken, we'll try and open up for debate and ask some questions to try and get round to the impact issue that we talked about at the end of the last session. What can we actually do if we're trying to do anything at all? So, first of all, we have Vic Borrell from Brighton Hove Food Partnership. And Vic has been director of the Brighton Hove Food Partnership since 2008. This was a new post created when the organisation changed from being very small, 1 part-time member of staff, to taking on a contract with the Primary Care Trust. Remember those? To deliver community-based weight management and nutrition advice. Since then, the organisation has grown to its current size of 20 staff, or 13 full-time equivalent, and works across a range of food issues including health eating, weight management, community food growing, food waste reduction, cookery and food sharing, and many other things too, I'm sure. A key role of the food partnership is to operate at a strategic level to influence policy, which I think is important for this talk, and together with the stakeholders from across the spectrum address systemic food issues through a jointly owned food strategy and action plan, Spade, Spoon, Digging Deeper, which was first published in 2012, and I recommend it to people as good reading. In this, Vic takes lead on encouraging partnership work in promoting using food as a tool to achieve a range of health, social care, environmental and economic objectives. And of course, Brighton's relevant because I've been involved in regeneration in Southend for a long time, some of you know, and all the time people say, oh, Southend, we should try and be more like Brighton, maybe we should aspire to be Brighton, or maybe we're the poor man's Brighton. I don't know, I mean, I'm not sure it's necessarily helpful, but it might be. But I think there's definitely a sort of relationship on our side to Brighton, whether it's sort of mirrored back, I'm not sure. So that's something to think about. So it's great to have that here. And then following that, we've got Jack Monroe, who, Southend's own Jack Monroe, and I'm just taking this from Twitter because this is a brief introduction. She writes politics for The Guardian, current affairs for Diva, food for the New European, both publications obviously, cookbooks for the hard-up novice, and songs in the shower. So, need no more introduction than that. If you don't know who Jack Monroe is, just go on Twitter and you'll soon find out. So, I'm going to pass over to Vic